A woman held an entire country in her grip of fear, preying on its most vulnerable men. This is the case of Kanae Kijima, Japan's notorious Black Widow, and its noir frame, so let's dive in. Between 2007 and 2009, a string of middle-aged single men across Japan started dying under strange circumstances. At first, police wrote them off as tragic coincidences. But then one case unraveled the story of a woman the press would later dub the Black Widow. Kanae Kijima was born on November 27, 1974, in Nakashibatsu, Japan. The oldest of four, she came from a wealthy family. Her father worked as a notary public and her mother taught piano. They provided a comfortable life, but as the firstborn, Kanae got special attention. Inspired by her mother's passion for music, she developed serious piano skills, performing in concerts and competitions. But music wasn't her only gift. By the age of 9, she could cook. Her mother saw a future wife. Her father enforced strict discipline, limited TV, and barely any spending money. Kanae was an excellent student, but she loved luxury. She loved spending. His strictness became unbearable. In high school, she discovered her father kept $21,000 in cash at home. She took it and burned through it all on designers' items. When her father found out, he cut her allowance. Instead of regretting it, she just wanted more. Kanae started offering her company to older men for cash. She got involved with a man in his 40s. Under his influence, she stole a classmate's bank book, and together they withdrew about $80,000. Caught and charged, she received a suspended sentence as a minor. Despite the arrest, she graduated and moved to Tokyo, enrolling in an economics program, only to drop out almost immediately. The city had her hooked. To make ends meet, she took temp jobs, including waiting tables. Long hours, harsh conditions, low pay. She hated her small, modest apartment. Soon, she picked up shoplifting, cosmetics, books, cash. She got caught more than once, but somehow always dodged being arrested. But petty shoplifting wasn't going to fund the lifestyle she craved. Kanae quit her job and tried an escort agency. These places offered everything from conversation to intimacy. Clients chose from profiles, but just under 5 feet tall and over 230 pounds. Kanae didn't fit the mold. Her profile gathered dust until she met a pimp named Takuchi. He became her mentor, teaching her to please men, craft a strategy, and target middle-aged or older men with low self-esteem, those who felt they couldn't get the women they wanted. Realizing her worth, Kanae learned to forge deep emotional bonds. She discovered that kindness and attention spark gratitude and generosity. She became an expert in seduction, reading people to figure out exactly what they needed. She'd unlocked a power she never knew she had. Around that time, she started using the name Sakura. She spun stories about her father being a professor at Tokyo University. Depending on her audience, she posed as a nurse, therapist, or famous chef. These lies crafted an irresistible persona. In this new role, she met Sadao Takayuma. They met at a bar in February 2001. The connection was instant. Within 2 weeks, they were lovers. Sadao was thrifty and careful with his money. But he made one mistake. He trusted her. First, she told him her parents had died in a plane crash. Then, she claimed to be studying music in Boston but couldn't afford the tuition. Sadao promised to cover everything. In return, she promised monthly visits. He waited impatiently, dressed to the nines, in love with his supposed fiancée. Meanwhile, Kanae bled him dry. After a few years, with his account empty, she cut him off. She was cunning, leaving no trail. When Sadao realized he'd been conned and tried to report her, there wasn't enough evidence. Months later, in August 2007, Sadao didn't show up for work. A co-worker found him dead in the shower. Once the news broke, Kanae transferred $50,000 from her account to her own. Police couldn't determine the cause of death and ruled it an accidental death. By 2008, Kanae saw the potential of Japan's internet boom. She changed tactics, creating profiles on dating sites as Sakura. Her bio was simple, marriage-minded, looking for something serious. She targeted high earners with high stress, middle-aged men with deep pockets and a void in their lives. She was a chameleon, a young romantic, a classically trained pianist, or a pet store owner who loved to cook. She became an online sensation, especially with older men, desperate to make their golden years count. Enter Tikao Terada. He was 53, a systems engineer who lived in the Tokyo suburbs. His life was a loop: work, home, weekends alone. His only regular company, his mother and sister. In February 2008, he tried online dating. 2 months in, Sakura reached out. She painted a picture of their future, then asked for money, just to cover some expenses. At the same time, she was playing as a nurse and caregiver. Her new target was Kenzo Ando, 80 years old, from Noda City, Chiba Prefecture. Kenzo lived modestly, but had inherited valuable paintings from his artist father. He also had health issues. Kanae sent a heavily edited photo, barely showed her face, and got the job. She cooked and catered to his every need. Within weeks, he was devoted. A month later, she asked for a loan for tuition. Without hesitation, Kenzo handed over his life savings. Meanwhile, she strung Takao along. He told his mother he was getting married, that he'd finally found the one. Kenzo trusted Kanao so much that he gave her a house key. Then he fell into a coma. While he fought for his life, she walked in and cleaned him out, taking and selling the paintings. Plus, she juggled other men, all between 40 and 50. While Takao was dreaming of their wedding, Kanae had a different plan. She bought electric hot plates online and sleeping pills. She came to his apartment for dinner. She crushed the tablets and mixed them into the food. Minutes later, Takao was out cold. She dragged him into a room, sealed the doors and windows. Then, she set up the electric hot plates, loaded them with charcoal briquettes, and turned them on. Before she left, she transferred $121,000 from his account to hers and took his keys and computer. 5 days later, February 4, 2009, Takao's boss came to check on him and found the body. Investigators pulled his phone records. There were only 3 recent contacts: his mother, his sister, and Sakura. When the police called Kanae, she had a story ready. She said Takao was emotionally unstable. He'd proposed, she rejected him, and he must have killed himself out of a heartbreak. With no signs of forced entry or a struggle, the suicide story stuck. The case was closed. When Kenzo woke from his coma, he went home. On the evening of May 15, 2009, Kanae visited. She cooked for him, as always, but this time she added something special to the recipe: sedatives. Once Kenzo dozed off, she locked him in a room and set up the hot plates. But this time, one of the units malfunctioned and caught fire. The flames consumed the house. Kenzo died instantly from the burns. The autopsy told a different story: unusual levels of sleeping pills in his system. He had never taken sedatives before. Still, authorities ruled it an accident. Kanae kept blogging and hunting. In July 2009, Yoshiyuki Oida stumbled across her profile. He couldn't resist and sent a message. Yoshiyuki was 41, single, and collected rental income on top of his salary. He was also extremely close to his mother, who lived in Fujimi. On their first exchange, Kanae introduced herself as a grad student looking for financial support and a husband. Intrigued, Yoshiyuki invited her to meet within 2 days. The relationship escalated fast. They announced their engagement, started planning the wedding, then Kanae brought up a marriage contract. She convinced him to transfer $30,000 to cover her graduate tuition. August 5, 2009. The couple marked it as a special date. They planned a 3-day getaway to Fujimi with the real purpose of introducing Kanae to Yoshiyuki's mother, the 2 most important women in his life meeting for the first time. He was so excited that he wrote on his blog about the upcoming wedding. Kanae prepared a celebration feast and ground various substances into the food while he wasn't looking. After dinner, they drove in their rental car toward Fujimi. They pulled into a parking lot. That's when the drugs hit. Yoshiyuki slipped into a deep sleep. Kanae set up the electric hot plate, lit the charcoal, and locked him inside. But this time she made a mistake. She forgot to leave the keys in the car. A security camera captured her walking away from the parking lot. Then she drained $35,000 from Yoshiyuki's account. When officers found the body, suicide seemed obvious, but then they noticed the car keys were missing. That didn't add up. There was no suicide note, nor charcoal residue on his hands or clothes, and no matches in the vehicle. According to Yoshiyuki's mother, her son had no reason to end his life. Investigators checked his blog. He was ecstatic about his future. The autopsy confirmed carbon monoxide poisoning, but revealed something else: traces of tranquilizers in his system. Connecting the dots, police realized Yoshiyuki wasn't the only one. 3 bachelors had died under similar circumstances the same year. Red flags went up. When they reviewed the security footage, Kanae was exposed. The lack of additional cameras meant crucial evidence was missing, but from that moment, she became the focus of the investigation. Analysis of Yoshiyuki's computer revealed how they had met. When investigators questioned Kanae, she claimed she had left him alone the night before and suggested he might have killed himself after she walked out. But police weren't buying it. They launched a full-scale investigation, gathering information about every death and fraud cause linked to her. On September 15, 2009, Kanae contacted another man, age 43, on a dating site. His name remains unknown. This time, she posed as an American culinary student studying in Japan. She told him she was having family problems, struggling to pay tuition, and that she was ready to drop everything, including her studies, to be with him. The next day, her new lover wired her $17,000. A few days later, she moved into his house. She bought 2 electric hot plates and then she cut the wires to the fire alarm system. Her plan fell apart on September 23rd, when the man's sister showed up unannounced. Planning to stay a few days, she immediately grew suspicious of her brother's new fiancé and tried convincing him to end their relationship. Things escalated when she learned about the strange circumstances of their meeting and the money he lent her. Following her gut, the sister went to the police and told them everything she knew. On September 25th, officers raided the residence and arrested Kanae for fraud. During the search, they discovered that all the alarm systems had been disabled, clear evidence she was preparing her signature method. They also found various medications, including several types of drugs that cause drowsiness and sedation. Most damning, her computer contained records of all her online hot plate purchases. The connection to the previous cases was established. She was now the prime suspect in Yoshiyuki's murder. In January 2010, as the investigation into the mysterious death continued, prosecutors charged Kanae with multiple counts of fraud. A month later, they added murder charges, specifically for Takao's death. It was an unusual situation. The indictment came even though no autopsy had been performed on his body. At trial, she pleaded no guilty. She insisted that deaths were accidents or suicides. Her defense focused on the lack of direct evidence, pushing for an acquittal based on reasonable doubt. The prosecution countered with a mountain of circumstantial evidence. Her presence with each victim just before they died, the identical causes of death, toxicology reports showing the same sedatives found in her apartment, and the financial angle. She had taken massive loans from all 3 men and killed them to avoid repayment. They argued she specifically chose charcoal and hot plates to mimic suicide, knowing carbon monoxide poisoning is a common method in Japan designed to confuse investigators. On April 13, 2012, the jury found her guilty of triple murder. The judge sentenced her to death. But the story didn't end with the verdict. Condemned to die, Kanae kept blogging. Her notoriety exploded, then sent money to improve her conditions on death row. Then, in a shocking twist, one of those admirers, a man in his 60s, married her in 2015. But when he suffered an accident and became disabled, unable to keep sending cash, she filed for divorce. She wrote memoirs, serialized in women's magazines, and published an autobiographical novel called Praise. Just 100 days after her first prison divorce, she married again, this time to a real estate entrepreneur. That union collapsed within months. In 2018, she married for a 3rd time, The groom was a 40-year-old employee from the publishing house handling her book. While awaiting execution, Kanae Kijima continues to live a bizarre, controversial life, drawing both sick admiration and absolute revulsion. Kanae Kijima's story isn't just about murder, it's about the weaponization of loneliness. She didn't need a knife or a gun. Her tool were kindness, attention, and the promise of a love that never existed. She didn't break into homes, she was invited in. Her most chilling talent wasn't deception or seduction, it was seeing the deepest void in a person's life and offering to fill it. But the ultimate prize. The Black Widow didn't hunt in the shadows. She found her victims in the blinding, desperate light of their own hope. Thanks for watching. Stories like this are dark reminders, and I'm grateful we could explore this one together. Stay curious and take care. It was no our fame. Catch you up on the next one. Bye.